Greetings. Hi, my name is Dr. Jeanette DeWitt. I'm a doctor of physical therapy and a homeschool mom of two teenagers who are very, very active in extracurricular activities. They're involved in cross country, track, musical theater, and church and color guard. So, as you can imagine, our schedule is full and flexibility is not optional, it is essential. In today's video, I'm going to share how I use study.com to adjust my daughter's homeschool curriculum based on whether they're ahead or behind, and how this flexibility has been a game changer for our family. Now, how do I set up the curriculum? Well, first of all, we use study.com's College Saver Pro program. This allows my daughters to earn college credits through ACE credits that are transferable to partner schools within study.com, and they can earn these college credits as part of their homeschool high school requirements. So when I assign a course, the first thing I do is set a target completion date. So if we look at our dashboard, so this would be is if you are logged in, you would just hit on this little magnifying glass, and you could search for a um, a course. And I'm just going to use this business 102 to show you. And so then I would click on that. And as you can see, this is 3 transferable credits for college credit. And then you would click on, and it says eligible for credit, yes. And then you would click on this to assign the course. Now you'll see that my daughter is already enrolled in that. So I'm just going to go back. Whoops, I went back too far. I'm just going to go back, and you will see that she's already enrolled and taking this course, this Principles 102. But what you'll see when you assign the course, you can actually assign a deadline. And that is what I wanted you to see. This is the target completion date. This is just an estimate for us, but I use it as a general guideline. And for this particular course, you can see there's 97 lessons. And if the course is under 100 lessons, I treat that as a semester course. If it is over 100 lessons, then I treat it as a year-long course. Now, there's some variability with that, because if I see a course has 110 lessons, I might actually treat that similarly to a semester course compared to a course that has 187 lessons. So just keep that in mind. But that is the flexibility of study.com, because we can adjust this target completion date based on our students' needs. Now, that's exactly what we do. So my oldest is a junior in high school, and my youngest is a freshman. My oldest daughter, she prefers to take 2 courses at a time and complete them quickly, usually within 6 to 8 weeks, especially if they're lower volume lessons, like under 100 lessons. So for her, I set deadlines at about 8 weeks, and she focuses on finishing all the lessons in 8 weeks. And then if there's assignments or the final exam, then we kind of use the next 1 to 2 weeks to accommodate that. So it usually is anywhere between 6 to 10 weeks. Now, my youngest daughter, she's a freshman and she has ADHD, and she learns very differently. She prefers to have more variety. So she usually works on 3 to 4 courses at a time. And because of that, she needs more time to complete them because she's doing more courses simultaneously. And that's okay. That's her learning style. And instead of forcing her into the same structure as her sister, we adjust her timeline to match how she learns best. So, one of my favorite features of study.com is how it handles the scheduling. When you set a deadline, the platform automatically calculates how many lessons are needed to be completed each week. And that is what you're seeing here. You can see that it was last viewed. This particular course was last viewed. And then you can see what she needs to do to stay on track. It'll tell you how many chapters and lessons that need to be completed. So if chapter 6 is here, then it's going to show you the lessons in chapter 6 that she would have 4 to 5 lessons in that particular chapter. So to stay on track, she would need to complete of the um, all of the lessons in that chapter to be able to keep up with that particular course. So instead of me having to figure out that manually, I can now rely on study.com to show me exactly what she needs to do. So, and the same can be true for Madeline, my youngest daughter. That's showing that she needs to um, complete all of the lessons associated with chapter 3 and this course, and all of the lessons associated with chapter 11 and this course. So, like I said, for study.com does that for me. And just to kind of give an overview, if the course has 144 lessons and I set a 12-week deadline, then study.com will calculate and break that down into 12 lessons per week for my student. And this takes all the guesswork out of planning, and it gives my daughters a clear and manageable weekly goal. Now, if one of my daughters gets ahead, I actually don't change the deadline. I just encourage them to keep going, keep working ahead. And if they finish early, then I reward them with that and they get a few days off from school entirely, or they get a lighter schedule. I don't add another course on top of that. So, for example, let me just go back here to my oldest, and both of her this semester's courses, I guess, are due at the end of May. It's still loading, but due at the end of May. If she finishes one of those early, then I don't automatically just add another course. I just let her finish and focus on the remaining course. And then when she's finished with both of them, then I give a couple days off if she finished that before, in this case, May 22nd, or we proceed if it's like May 22nd, May 23rd, and we're ready to start another course, then we go ahead and we schedule that. Usually I definitely give like a 3-day weekend or a 4-day weekend in between. And with this being at the end of May, there might be a week off there as well because Memorial Day holiday that's coming up and things like that. But the key is that we encourage them to stay on track and they get rewarded for that. Now, when my students get behind, which is, real life, because sometimes students do fall behind. Maybe something's a little more challenging and there was an unrealistic deadline. So that's kind of scenario one. We set the deadline, but it was unrealistic for the amount of work that had to be done. It was too aggressive. So I simply go into study.com and I can actually change the date, or I could remove the goal altogether. And then once I would change the date, I would just hit save. So another scenario where they might fall behind is busy weeks, sports, theater, lots of church events, things like that. So we also plan around life a little bit. If we know a big week is coming up, we encourage their students to work ahead. But sometimes there's a musical, there's a championship meet, there's a major event, or sometimes things happen in our family and somebody gets sick or something like that. And so if they've worked ahead, no problem. We've already accommodated for that, and they're going to keep go back in and fall back into the schedule when they're feeling better or when the extracurriculars are a little less. But during that busy week, we kind of intentionally scale back their school workload to not, sacrifice sleep, food, and a little bit of rejuvenation. The third scenario that happens is, like I said, illness. And then on sometimes, I guess a fourth scenario would be they really aren't putting in the work that they needed to do, and they weren't staying on track because they weren't doing homework. So the way we accommodate for that is they're supposed to do about 5 to 6 hours a day in school. If they don't finish and they're not on track by, at the end of the day, then that becomes homework. So it has to be a little bit longer, just like any other school kid in school, right? So the reason this works really well is that we love study.com because it allows us to build school around a real life instead of forcing life into a rigid school schedule. That's the beauty of doing homeschool. My daughters are still learning responsibility and time management, but they're doing it in a way that's realistic and sustainable. They stay on track, avoid burnout, and they continue to make progress towards both their high school diploma and their college degree. So, if you're a homeschool parent trying to balance academics with a busy family life, study.com gives you that flexibility to adjust your schedule without sacrificing progress. If you'd like to try it on your own, if you'd like to try study.com with your family, be sure to check out the video description or my bio for my referral link where you're going to get a discount off your first month. I appreciate you so much for watching, and I really encourage you to try out study.com. It is flexible, convenient, and it does a lot of the work for you as a working homeschool parent. Thanks a lot.